Well, ladies and gentlemen, she's in the building. Let's give it up for Montana Fouts one more time. Well, Montana, welcome to Lift Tour 2023. And even though you had practice this morning, you made it out tonight. Thank you for coming out. So how has the season, the preseason, been going?
Well, first, thank you guys for having me. I'm so grateful and honored to be here. Practice has been going good. We have about 13 days until we play left, so we're really excited, working really hard. We are supposed to have a scrimmage tomorrow, but since it's supposed to rain, it's pushed back to Monday. It is open, so you guys are more than welcome to come watch too.
Well, that's fantastic. And as you can tell, all of our students are excited and thrilled that you are here tonight. And so everyone knows you as one of the world's greatest pitchers, all right? But tell us your story and a little bit about pre-Alabama Montana, because everybody knows Alabama Montana. Let's hear a little bit about pre-Alabama Montana and how'd you get into softball?
Okay, so first, you guys are hyping me up way too much. I'm not that special, I promise. I just play softball a little bit, and I love Jesus. But first, pre-Alabama, Montana, I started playing softball when I was about 5. My dad played slow pitch, and I have been at a softball field since I can remember. I was a little girl in the bat bag, the roller bat bags. Y'all know what I'm talking about. I was in those when my dad was carrying me to the ball field. So, grew up playing, I watched somebody pitch a softball when I was 7, and I was like, hey, I want to do that. And then I started doing it, fell in love with it, watched it on TV. And I remember watching Alabama and Oklahoma in the 2012 game, and I was probably about 8, so it was 2008. And I said, I want to be there. So I set that goal, and now I'm here.
And now you're here in Tuscaloosa. We'll tell you we're forever grateful that you are here, and we're just so excited to see how this year pans out. And so as a softball player, let's talk a little bit, because how many softball players we got in the room? A lot, all right? And so how many baseball players? How many in general athletes we got in the room? Okay, so let's talk a little bit about time management, because I feel like that's one thing that young athletes, you kind of fly by the seat of your pants a little bit in high school. But in college, if you don't have good time management, it can really wreck you. And so let's talk a little bit about a day in the life of Montana and how you manage your time.
Okay, so first, the day in a life is different based on season. So in the fall, for softball and baseball, that's the biggest thing. So you come in from the summer, you have the fall, you're adjusting. It's a lot of conditioning, lifting, that type of deal, and it's about 8 to 20 hours a week. So the 8-hour weeks are pretty light, but you still have to basically be at the field at least every day. 20-hour weeks, it's getting to 4 to 5 hours a day and managing, okay, now I got 6 a.m. weights. You may or may not have class. So I've been in school for, it seems like forever. So I have all online, which is really nice. And I just study. So I don't have to go into class, which is good for me. But at first, you have weights, then you have maybe 8, 9, 10 a.m. classes, and then now you have to go to the field for treatment, stretch, because when you get a little bit older like me, you have to stretch a lot before, okay? Just a heads up. I know stretching is not so good right now, but I promise you, you'll like it when you're older. And practice, and then dinner, repeat, basically. But I think the key to it all is just prioritize what is important to you. So obviously, and I think this is my favorite thing already about y'all love to spread the joy of Jesus and to worship him, so you're going to have to prioritize that too. And it's hard on the day-to-day life to do that, because there's going to be people that maybe don't do that. But Jesus has called all of you guys to pull him with you and be that light and that leader. So you have to prioritize being a leader first, and then don't tell your parents I said this. Then school. So you know what I mean? So you prioritize what is most important to you every single day.
Absolutely. And so with that kind of schedule, it takes a leader like yourself, and being committed to the task, committed to the mission. We talked about the mission in our session 3, and so let's kind of switch gears a little bit. So what's something you do or like that people either don't know or would be surprised about Montana Fouts?
I feel like my life is pretty open, I guess, on social media. I love a lot of different things, a lot of different people, but I have my core. I obviously love going to church. I love Dixie. Dixie's my dog. She's a blue heeler. You guys need to go check her out if you haven't already. She's my favorite thing in the whole wide world. But I just really love spending time with my friends. I think that I love getting a good laugh in. So whether that's something crazy that we're doing, who knows, we can just sit in a room and just laugh together. But me and my teammates, we have a good time together. So I don't know, you guys probably know that. But yep, I do like to do that and take lots of walks with Dixie. That's my favorite thing to do.
Well, we are all dog people in this room, right? And so we do love our dogs. And you mentioned one thing that I think is very important for every student in this room to kind of hone in on. You are who you hang out with. And your core group of teammates, your core group of friends will either make you or break you. And so how has it been? I guess there's like a filtering process of who gets in the inner circle of Montana, because former President George W. Bush, former President Barack Obama, they were both asked this question: what will make your presidency successful? And they both answered very similar answers. They turned around, they pointed to their cabinet. They said, these people around me will determine the success of my presidency. And so how does that filtering process work for you with the people that you surround yourself with when it comes to being the best version of yourself?
And I'll tell you, I've learned, and I know I have a lot to learn still, but you are 100% the people that you hang around with. They say that you are the sum, I think, of the 5 people that you hang around with the most. So look beside you and count to 4, and those 4 people, if you guys hang out with them all the time, you are going to be like them. And whether that's a negative way or positive way, that's for y'all to look and decide. But it's kind of like the pre-Alabama that we were talking about. So I had to work really, really hard to come to school here, just because I'm tall, but I'm not the most athletic. So I had to pretty much work really hard at pitching, and I'm grateful to do so. But I had to surround myself with people in middle school and high school that, one, great people. And I'm fortunate enough to have made great friends. We're still best friends. To this day, I was a maid of honor in her wedding this past summer. But you have to surround yourself with people that, you are what you prioritize. So put Jesus first, that it's okay if you have to go practice, I'll save you a seat at the basketball game, because I loved going to basketball games. So it was, I'll save you a seat. If you are late to my birthday party, or if you can't even make it, you know what, that's fine, I love you. And put yourself around those people, because those people are going to be the ones that, that you're going to turn into. So it's kind of like you are what you eat, you are who you hang around, basically.
Absolutely, and that's a great perspective. And so, one thing at SLU is all about the dreamer, all about striving for excellence, and they're dear friends of our student ministry and dear friends of this church. And so as a young girl, you wanted to dream big for this opportunity to play softball. And so what was it like, kind of growing up where this was your dream, and some of the sacrifices you had to make to achieve this dream of yours?
Like I said, since I started playing softball, I knew that this is exactly what I wanted to do. I wanted to play college softball. I wanted to be on the best team with the best coaches. I wanted to make the bestest friends. I wanted to be doing stuff like this, and I wanted to host camps, and I'm pretty grateful to be living out my dream. But the whole time, since I was 7, there's always people that's like, hey, if you practice that hard, you're going to get burnt out. Hey, Jesus isn't really going to do that for you. Or I don't know why you put so much faith into something that you can't even see. So there's always going to be those type of people that don't necessarily understand and don't understand why you're making the sacrifices that you make. But if you feel like that's something that you want to do in your heart and your gut, he's trying to tell you something, and you should follow it, because whatever dream you may have, you can 100% do that. I come from a town with less than 2,000 people in it. And our middle school and high school team was not that great. We never went to the state tournament. My sophomore year of high school, we went to the state tournament. I think we finished 4th, 3rd, and 3rd. We never won a state championship. But I was pretty fortunate. My Coach Murphy, he's the head coach here, he was at my senior year. We lost. He was there. And, again, with surrounding yourself with great people, he was there. He gave me a hug. He said, this is just the beginning. So, again, surrounding yourself with people that aren't putting you down, aren't pulling you down, that they push you up, and they give you that little extra shove.
That's incredible. One of the things that we love to say around here, and our students will tell you, is you might not be the smartest person at the table, you might not be the most athletic person at the table, but one thing you can be is be the biggest encourager at the table. And so it's very important for all of us to have big encouragers in our life, but also to be that big encourager. And so I think that's exactly what Coach Murphy was for you in that moment. But let's kind of talk about a moment that you're very famous for. It was the game where you pitched a perfect game in 2021 against UCLA on your birthday. So, I mean, you couldn't write a better story. So tell us a little bit about that game and just that feeling you had of doing that. I think most of us were watching that game. So just an incredible thing to witness.
Thank you. It seems like yesterday and 10 years ago all at the same time. So I'm a very superstitious person, and maybe that's not a good thing. I'm trying to kind of get my way out of that in a little bit, but I had a dream journal, okay? I still have it, and I write in it still, but before all the games, it's kind of like my dreams, but also prayers at the same time. So every morning at the World Series, which this was probably day 3 because we practiced the day before the first game. So this was our second game, day 3, okay? And I remember writing in my journal that it was my birthday. We played at 8 p.m. So my family got to come that morning. They had cake and everything, but I was so locked in on the game. I didn't even want to think about it. I did eat a piece of cake. We're not surprised. But I will say that I just remember praying. I was like, please let me be a blessing for other people, because like you said, you guys were all watching the game, and I knew that one of my biggest goals is to be a role model for other people and to be that encourager at the table. And I just wanted to be that for other people, my teammates, my coaches, the other team, you know, in any way that you can. Be what Jesus wants you to be. Be the blessing. That's all I was praying the whole time. Before the game, just like any other game, warmed up, I'd have a water bottle kind of like this, and I would put like a orange electrolytes, or it was orange all that year for some reason, I don't know. And I was drinking my drink. I had a huge hole in my cleat, and both cleats, and I refused to wear a different pair of cleats. Refused. I would wrap it in ace bandages, put my socks on, wrap it again, because if I didn't, then my feet would start bleeding, okay? I'm crazy, all right? And during the game, I remember none of my teammates would talk to me. They never really do, to be honest with you, during the game. But I just remember it was like a conversation that I was having during the pitches. And this is the only time this has happened. This is my goal to make it happen more this year. But it just felt like I was having a conversation with Jesus. I was just talking, and I was like, if this is meant to be, it will be, because I've put the work in. I've worked hard since I was 5 years old. No matter what the outcome, it's going to be what it will be. So you study. You work really hard. Whenever you get to the test, of course you want to get an A. But if you're meant to get an 80%, you're going to get an 80% because you're going to learn from that. So that was the mentality I was going in this game. Because the year previous, we had played UCLA in a tournament in Clearwater in February, okay? This was the COVID year. And I didn't even make it out of the first inning. I gave up, I don't even know how many runs. This is the worst performance I've ever had in my life, okay? They beat us 7-0. I think I came out the first inning. It was so bad, I came to the dugout, Murph hugged me. I did so bad, okay?
The encourager.
Yes. He hugged me. He was like, I love you. And I was like, oh, God, I'm crying now. So the next year, I remember thinking, okay, that's not going to happen, because I'm going to trust, I'm going to have faith, and the only person I want to talk to right now is you. And I was talking to Jesus the whole time. And it's funny because I wear a face mask. You pitchers wear a face mask. Your faces are too pretty, okay? And I had a little heavier cross on at the time. This had not happened all season. Same necklace, same face mask. And it was like a 3-0 count, and I don't like timeouts. I don't like timeouts, okay? A 3-0 count, which is hard. If you, a pitcher, hitters, you probably love 3-0 counts, okay? Not a fan of those myself. And my necklace kept getting wrapped up. And I was like, what's going on? And then at first I was like, he's just trying to tell me to slow down. I was like, the whole time, I swear, nobody else talked to me. It was just me and him, and he was like, you've got it. Take a deep breath. Whatever's meant to be will be. And after the game, it just seems very surreal, and it wouldn't have happened without those conversations, because whenever you don't talk to him, you just get wrapped up in yourself, and you're like, what if this happens? What if this happens? What if I give up this home run? And I'm telling you, from the year before, when I did think, hey, what if I give up this home run? I gave up the home run, okay? Hey, what if I strike out right here? You're going to strike out, okay? So just putting your faith in something obviously bigger than yourself is the most important, and it's going to be a game changer for you guys, even if you're not an athlete. So.
Absolutely, and that's a fantastic story. And like we said, when we watched it, we all got to witness an incredible moment, but got to kind of see what was going on in your mind and between the Lord, which was really cool. And so, just a few more questions. And so, what has your faith journey been like, and how have you been able to continue to be salt and light on your campus this year in your time at Alabama?
I have grown up in church, really, and I was pretty much just, we would go, it was just like a regular Sunday, and then it wasn't until really, I hit a really hard time in my life my sophomore year of college, so not that long ago, and I just remember waking up one morning and I was like, I can't do it anymore, like I don't want to feel this sad anymore, and I remember the first time I prayed in a long time, like really prayed, like really tried to talk to him, and I remember I woke up the next morning, just happened to be a Sunday, and I took myself to church. And I hadn't went to church all of freshman year, really, because when season comes, I didn't prioritize it like I probably should have. And then sophomore year, some personal stuff, but also I wasn't playing softball how I wanted to. And that was really hard for me because failure really didn't hit until my sophomore year of college. And I was like, I don't know why. I've worked really hard. I've tried so hard. I was coming back from an injury, and I didn't prioritize doing the things that I knew that I needed to do. So it was really hard, and I remember praying. The next morning, I was like, just change my heart. Whatever you got to do, just change it. Woke up the next morning. I went to church. I fell in love. I was like, oh, my gosh. You guys know the moments in worship when you have great bands like this one that was just playing for you? You're like, I can feel that right here to my core. The next week, one of my best friends comes with me, and she falls in love. And then now, whenever we go to church, there's 2 whole rows of softball players, and it's just the best thing you'll ever see. But I guess it just took really hard struggle and failure, and you guys can probably relate to that too, to kind of like pull you in a little bit more, which sometimes we'll use. Speaking of, since you brought up the game, you guys probably watched the next game then, right? Where we lost, okay? And I'll bring that up because that was really, really hard for me. One, not because it was me, but because we had 7 seniors that are like my family that year that I felt like I just lost us the game, because I knew very well having a game like that, I should be able to at least not give up 5 runs in the first inning or 3 or whatever it is. That goes to tell you, it just blocked it out, okay? But just know that nobody's perfect, okay? So like I'll sit up, we talk about the perfect game, but just know I'm not perfect. I make mistakes. Today I made like 3 errors fielding the ground ball. Today they were trying to show, we had a coach's clinic, and there was 100 coaches there, and we were talking about spin, and I spun it wrong like 3 times. Just know that no matter who you're looking at on social media, up here on a stage, nobody's perfect, okay? You got to work really hard, have faith, and you can do whatever you want to do, but just know that nobody's perfect, okay?
And that's pretty freeing, you know what I'm saying? Like, I think a lot of times we walk around on eggshells trying to be a version of something we see on TV or see on social media, but knowing that no one's perfect, and the one that makes us perfect is Jesus. And so living for him and playing for him, we ask the question, hey, what would we do for the glory of God if we knew we wouldn't fail? And whether it's playing softball in college or pitching that perfect game or playing in the World Cup, which was pretty cool too, and just whatever it is, whatever God has called you to do, whether it's be a teacher, or a lawyer, or a pastor, a football player, baseball player, softball player, whatever it is, ask yourself, how can I use this for God's glory? And you're not going to be perfect in it. But if we do strive for perfection, excellence becomes a byproduct of who we are. But knowing that no one's perfect frees us up to be who God has really created us to be. And so I think those are some very freeing things that all of us, young ladies, young men, you can take with you. And so my last question is this, Montana, and so it comes from our dear friends at SLU, and they believe that leadership begins at the feet of Jesus. They believe leadership is synonymous with discipleship. So how has your faith in Jesus impacted your personal leadership?
Okay, I think it has impacted me just because there's been so many different things to struggle with. And being an athlete, of course, but in regular life, there's going to be multiple times that you have to fail. You have to fail. You have to fail to learn. You have to struggle to learn. And I think when it comes to faith, there's going to be bad things that happen. But we want to understand, but to have faith is, I don't have to understand. So I think it's kind of put the blinders on yourself of, I have to know what's going on. I have to know why he did this, or I'm not going to have a faith. Because when you do that, you're just kind of like putting up a wall between a friendship that you need to have to be successful, to be a great person, to be the great daughter, son, friend, anything that you want to be. You need to have that relationship, because things might be going well until it's not. And then who are you going to talk to? You have best friends, but the person that knows you the most is Jesus. So don't put up the wall. Instead of whenever things go south, don't try to understand why. Think about it, talk about it, pray about it, but don't get mad when you don't understand, because we're not meant to understand always. So I think don't take things out on him whenever you're just praying. Have conversations. I think that's a big thing for me too. Don't kind of get creative. Talk to him like he's your friend. Talk to him like you're playing in a game. Talk to him like he's just one of your buddies, okay? Because he is. He's biased for you, and he just wants the best for you. So I think leadership-wise, it helps me kind of understand somebody else. You may make a mistake. That's okay. That's okay. I'm going to forgive you, and how can we move forward? Whether that's a mistake on the field or behind closed doors when nowhere else sees it, or maybe you talked about somebody. You have to have faith and think and love like Jesus does, which is difficult, but kind of tone in on that, especially when you're dealing with teammates, friends, siblings.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. Well, Montana, thank you so much for your time. Can we give it up for Montana tonight? Incredible job.